Mulkey. We were last here on December 20th of 2024, where the defendant withdrew his previously entered plea of not guilty and pled guilty to count 1, felonious assault, a felony of the second degree in violation of revised code section 2903.11A1. The court deferred sentencing and ordered a pre-sentence report and victim impact statement. Those reports have been completed and the state is prepared to proceed with sentencing.
All right, thank you. Mr. Mulkey.
On behalf of Tony Jackson Davis, Your Honor, we are prepared to go forward with sentencing.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. I want to start right off the bat and letting the court know what Tony would like. And he'd like a chance at community control, Your Honor. We'd ask the court to not order an actual incarceration of prison time for him or any further jail time in this matter. So I just wanted to start right off with that. The court has received several letters of support, Your Honor. I just want to highlight a few things because I've gotten to know him a little bit during the course of my representation of him, but I think in order to really see how he fits into society, we can only take from those who know him in his daily life while he is carrying on his regular affairs in the course of his regular daily life, Your Honor. To that end, we have letters from several of his co-workers and managers, Your Honor. We have one from Thomas Bottleston, General Manager of Minter and Willoughby Buffalo Wild Wings. He brings positive energy to the work environment. He trains new employees. He's a work ethic. He shows a great work ethic. He is a role model. He's worked hard to turn his life around. Now that's from people that see him day to day, not just when he's in court or when he's in trouble with the law, Your Honor, but Monday through Saturday, Sunday through Thursday, the people that see and work with him all the time. Furthermore, Judge, and this just kind of hit me, he is in a people-oriented, results-oriented business, serving customers constantly, customers from all different walks of life, all different types of attitudes, customers in good moods and bad moods who all come in to interact with him, Your Honor. The next letter that I have is from Ryan Holden, the Assistant General Manager from Buffalo Wild Wings. He indicates that Tony stays later when there's call-offs. And in this day and age, Judge, we've got a lot of people, I don't know if it seems to have started since COVID, where people just don't want to go into work and they don't want to do their jobs. Restaurants even close early because of these types of shortages where people just don't want to work. They want to sit on their butts and stay home. Not Tony. He goes in, he covers those shifts, Your Honor. I thought it was interesting here in the letter from Ryan. There have been instances when he has had my back and helped diffuse situations with guests to ensure everyone's safety, Judge. So underlying his criminal behavior in this matter, at heart, Judge, there is another side to him which I'd like to see cultivated, and I think with the court's help and with sentencing guidelines and probation, him working with the probation department, he can cultivate and continue to cultivate positive relationships with the multitude of folks that he deals with on a day-to-day basis. And there's something in there where he's actually looking out for other people. He's ensuring other people's safety. He has 3 children that he supports financially, Your Honor. He does that by focusing in on his work, Your Honor. I also have Ricky Walters, a co-worker of Tony's, who indicates his observations are that Tony's job gives him confidence, structure, discipline, and motivation. It's structure and discipline that we're lacking in this particular situation as a result of the incident on September 7th, Your Honor. However, his daily life and his observations from his coworkers seem to indicate that underneath all of this, he does have structure, he has discipline, he has concern, and he has compassion, Your Honor. And he even, according to Brandy O'Neill, in Brandy's letter, he has positive energy. She has worked at Buffalo Wild Wings for over 10 years. She notes that there have been many times Tony has stayed after when the manager is closing alone, so they don't have to be by themselves or walk to their cars alone late at night. Now, I know his criminal history doesn't seem to indicate that he's the type of person that we want to have reintegrated back into society, absent some order of having him be returned to prison. He was under this court's purview in the past and had to go to prison, Your Honor. But his day-to-day life is the letters that he has as evidence that I think it shows he can be integrated back into society, and that a community control sanction will adequately punish him as an offender in this particular instance, Your Honor, and it will also allow him to maintain himself in the future, Your Honor. And I had a heart-to-heart with him just the other day. I said, you know, Tony, you seem pretty mild-mannered when I meet with you. I know we have this incident here. What are you going to do when somebody calls you a name or gets under your skin or complains about how their food has been prepared? Are you gonna haul off and get physical with them? Are you gonna wait for them in the parking lot? And his response to me was not at all. I will remake their food for them. I will call a manager if need be. I will handle it in the utmost of professionalism, Your Honor. And I bring up that specific example because I think details matter as to how he would handle specific situations. Anyone can stand before this court or sit here and give you lines of BS, Your Honor, but it's specifics and details, I think, that matter as to how specific situations will be handled in the future. And I think based on his support in the community, he wants to focus on his work. He wants to continue to be a force in the lives of his 3 children. He wants to continue to provide support and learn from these situations, Your Honor. He's 27 years old. He's single. He has a supportive, significant other. He's got a lot to look forward to. He desires to obtain his driver's license, get a GED if the court orders that, Your Honor. And I think with all of those things to keep in mind, given a chance, he would have acted differently on this particular occasion, Your Honor. So certainly he may have some things to say to the court, and the court may have some questions for my client, because this is a very serious decision that will impact the rest of his life, whether he goes to prison today or whether he gets a chance on community control and possibly screws that up, knowing that he's looking at prison in the future, Your Honor. So with all that being said, I don't have anything further at this point.
All right, thank you, Mr. Jackson Davis. What do you want to tell me before I impose sentence?
I say, Your Honor, please accept my apology for taking up your time today. I understand now as I look back that what I did was a huge mistake, and for that, I will take full responsibility for my actions and express my sincere remorse for the choices I've made to lead to this situation. I recognize the harm that my actions have caused, and I deeply regret any pain or injury I have caused to the victim. What was said or done to me does not justify my actions in any way. Since my arrest, I have taken the time to reflect on my life and decisions that led me here again. I have learned valuable lessons about accountability, consequences, and the impact of my choices since the last time I was sentenced in your courtroom. With that structure, I have came a long way to gaining the support I receive from family, friends, and employers who have seen me work my butt off to become the man I am today. I am proud of myself for how far I have came. If given the opportunity, I am committed to making positive changes in my life, learning from my mistakes, and becoming a better person. I intend to use this experience as a turning point in my life, seeking education and rehabilitation programs, and continuing my employment to ensure I never find myself in this position again. Regardless of the outcome today, I will continue to work towards being a better person and making amends for my mistakes, my past mistakes. Thank you, Your Honor, for your time and considering my words during this difficult moment in my life.
Thank you, Ms. Leshy.
Thank you, Your Honor. There is a presumption for prison in this case, and prison is certainly consistent with the defendant's actions here. The defendant is only 27 years old, however, has a lengthy criminal history, including multiple offenses of violence, beginning back when he was a juvenile. When he was a juvenile, he was convicted of attempted burglary, receiving stolen property, burglary F2, assault F5, theft 3 counts, receiving stolen property 3 counts, obstructing official business, resisting arrest, another resisting arrest, criminal damaging, assault, burglary F4. And then, as an adult, he's convicted in 2018, attempted burglary F3 2 counts, identity fraud, aggravated theft. He's placed on probation to the Cuyahoga County Court of Common Pleas. He violates probation 4 times before ultimately just getting terminated from probation. In 2018, criminal trespass. He then commits a possession of cocaine, which he's convicted of in this court, where he has multiple probation violations before being sent to prison, including NeoCap. In 2020, attempted domestic violence. Again in 20, domestic violence. Again in 20, assault with a probation violation. 2020, another domestic violence, a misdemeanor, with another probation violation. In 2021, domestic violence F4, where he's sentenced to 2 years probation and programming. Probation's ultimately terminated in that case. 2021, domestic violence, another misdemeanor. 2021, illegal restraint. 2022, domestic violence and misdemeanor of the first degree. There, he's ordered to mental health treatment and anger management. And then finally, we get to this case. And then while on bond in this case, he commits 2 separate offenses of violating a protection order, which ultimately results in 1 conviction and his bond being revoked in this case. So just looking at the defendant's criminal history, we can tell he's violent. He's had numerous opportunities at treatment, including anger management ordered multiple times, NeoCap. He can't follow court orders as demonstrated by his multiple probation violations. And then turning to the facts of this case, I know in the pre-sentence report the defendant talks about being called a derogatory name. And under the law, we know words aren't enough, but even more importantly, whether you believe whether that was said or not said, it's important to consider how and when this assault occurred. There are multiple witnesses on scene that corroborate that when the victim is walking away from the defendant, they do not hear any derogatory terms being used, and that as the victim's back is turned, the defendant comes up from behind and punches him. It was a sucker punch. It was a cheap shot, and the victim couldn't even have defended himself if he wanted to. As a result of that punch, the victim falls, he hits his head on the pavement, where he remains unconscious with blood coming out of his mouth for multiple minutes. The victim eventually is transported to the hospital where he receives staples in his head from where he hit his head on the pavement. He's diagnosed with a concussion, and he's lucky, we're lucky, that those injuries were not worse. But that is to no credit of the defendant. Our office has prosecuted multiple of these cases where it's 1 punch and it results in serious, long-lasting, lifetime injuries. The state is asking for 4 years prison. I think it is necessary in this case given the defendant's conduct and also necessary to protect the public. Thank you.
Is the total on the restitution 135?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, I've reviewed the pre-sentence report and the victim impact statements. I've also reviewed several letters that were sent by Mr. Jackson Davis's co-workers that Mr. Mulkey referred to. Now, Ms. Alessi went through in some detail your past record, Mr. Jackson Davis, which I mean, everybody agrees is a terrible record. And it's littered with violent activity. Now, you were here as a result of a incident that occurred in June of 20. And in October of 21, I sentenced you. This was a possession of cocaine charge. I put you on probation for 5 years, put you through the jail treatment program and then the NeoCap program in the hopes that past behavior would change. There were violations, I think 2 violations resulting from drug use and other charges that occurred while you were on probation. So that's when I gave you the balance of that 12-month sentence, which resulted in about 2.5 months because you had eaten up so much time throughout the probation with one form of incarceration or another. So you get out in, I think, March of 23, March 31 of 23. And I'm not sure how long, it looks like you've been working at the restaurant for a while.
Over a year, Your Honor. Pardon?
Over
a year.
Okay. And so once you got out and you got that job, by virtue of the communication I got from your coworkers, it seemed like you had turned a corner. Another indication of that is I don't see any other record from March or any other incidents from March of 23 until this one in September of 24. Now, then in November, about 2 months after this happens, you get this violation of a protection order.
Well, my children's mother.
Right. And end up with that charge. Now, this incident in September of 24, I wasn't there. You were there, Mr. Marn was there, other people were there. But there's quite a bit of information from the people who were there, both associated with the parties and not associated with the parties. So the problem here is that I don't know how it started. There's different versions about how it started, okay? That's pretty well inconsequential to where we're at right now. Because whatever happened in that parking lot, however it started, right, you and Mr. Marn end up face to face, arguing, name calling. I can imagine the worst of the worst, okay? At some point there's a little pushing and shoving that goes on. And if that's where it should have ended. Because then, when it ends, he goes in the restaurant, you get in your car and go home because you're done working, and we're not here. So the problem here is that when he turned and walked away is when you punched him.
I know that's what it says, Your Honor, but we both tried to walk away.
I'm not going to go by your account. I'm not going to go by his account. I'm going to go by other people's account that had nothing to do with it. Okay. But that punch lands and causes severe injury. Could have been a lot worse.
Wow.
I mean, I'm sure you're aware there's times when somebody gets punched, falls down, and dies.
I never wake up. It was really traumatizing for both parties because everything
But that's what happened. Right?
Yeah, everything I worked for was taken away with that one action, and I'm not just heartless enough to just walk away and just say, I try to come back around to check on him, and that's when my incident occurred with the officers of the law. It was to check on him because no matter what his skin tone was or what he had done to me or what I done to him, his life could have been taken, and I would have had to sit with that regret and that remorse. And the heart that I have, I just wanted to make sure he was okay and that he can go back home to his family.
And that seemed to be in doubt for some period of time, okay? Because he was out for upwards of 7 minutes.
Yeah.
Bleeding from the mouth, bleeding from the back of the head, and completely just out.
And I was already ushered away, and I was in custody. And when the officer came to get my side of the story, the first thing I asked is he okay? Because I was honestly concerned. Is he okay, officer? And he told me, yeah, he okay. He just some injuries. And then he took my side of the story. Things could have happened differently. Am I right? No. Am I wrong? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Obviously not. I had time to reflect on that. Since that incident even went out on bond, I've been remorseful and regretful for my action because I'm mentally broke. You know what I'm saying? I'm human too. I have emotions too. And like I said, it does not justify my actions in any way. You know, I recognize the harm that it caused. I recognize the life it could have took from him, from his family and my family, you know. But every time I come across these encounters, I'm trying to better myself and learn from them and really take them as a turning point. Last time I was sentenced in front of you, I got experience in neo camp and I took something from that. I violated, I went to prison and I got an insight on what life would be like if I didn't change my life around. I don't want to be sitting around just wasted potential. So I got out and I did everything I could. I set the structure, the boundaries for myself, just to see if I could do it, and I did it. And in just that little bit of time of 18-month period, I received so much support. So, like I said, I'm not saying that what happened was right. I know I got to take accountability for my actions, and that's exactly what I'm doing right now in this moment. It's taking accountability for my actions. Whatever you see may deem fit for punishment, I got to take that, and I got to learn how to move forward from that and carry that. This F2 is the most serious felony that I have on my record, and I got to carry that and try to overcome that. Now, somebody say something to me, walk away. Somebody spit on me, I know now I could go home and take a shower and wash it off. You know, I just don't ever want to be back in this situation. I'm just ready to get this behind me.
All right. So,
Judge,
yeah, go ahead.
Apologies to interrupt the court, but something else too. I believe that his job is waiting for him. So despite this incident,
That was in one of the letters.
yeah, he is ready to.
Right.
They are ready to have him back, despite the publicity or the incident that he was involved in, and regardless of the court's pronouncement on him for sentence, Your Honor. He does have. They want him back, Your Honor, which I think also again speaks something to the value that he brings. I'm sorry, I don't normally re-interject myself into the sentencing, but I did want to make that point to the court because I think it's important.
I mean, the bad news for you, Mr. Jackson Davis, is that this kind of behavior has been going on since you were a kid, okay? Now, the good news is it didn't happen in the last, from March until September, okay?
18 months exactly.
And a further bit of good news is you're only 27 years old. Right? So it doesn't have to go on, okay? But the problem is what happened here, all right, the physical aspect of it should never have occurred. And the fact that it occurred caused severe injury. I mean, that's a fact. And there's no going back on that. That's just how it is. Okay. So I have considered as I said, all of the information, and I'm going to find the presumption against prison is not overcome. And I'm going to sentence you to a term of a minimum definite term of 4 years in prison up to an indefinite maximum term of 6 years with credit for 54 days. Now, there's a presumption that you should be released after 4 years. That will be determined by the criteria of the Department of Corrections. And if you are not released after that presumptive term, then you are entitled to have a hearing on that matter. After you get out, you will be on post-release control for at least 18 months up to 3 years with conditions. If you violate the conditions, the parole authority could return you to prison for up to 9 months for each violation, up to 1/2 of my sentence. If that violation is a new felony, you could get an additional consecutive prison sentence for that violation, the maximum of which is the greater of 12 months or the time left under post-release control. Costs are assessed, restitution to Scott Martin in the amount of $135. Anything else?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Mr. Mo?